Okay. Well, hello. I can't find the right setup. There we go. There we go. Hello. Happy Monday. Tech is great. I love it. I love when I don't know what I'm doing. It's always good to show up and let folks know, hey, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm showing up anyway. Drop your name in the comments. Let us know what's going on, where you're tuning in from, whether you had a cold weekend or a not so cold weekend. I think it was cold just about everywhere. And here comes Kayla. So let's kick this thing off. Happy Monday. Welcome everyone to Mindset Monday, where independent patient advocates like us come together to start the week with positivity and inspiration. I'm Nicole Broadhurst, and this is my co-host, Kayla Thompson-Riviere. Today, we are jumping into intentionality. We have a powerful quote that's going to kind of help us kick off the week. Kayla, what's our quote?
This is one of my personal favorites for probably close to 20 years now. And it is, there are always two choices, two paths to take. One is easy, and its only reward is that it's easy. And this is author unknown, but I'm pretty sure it's in Chicken Soup for the Teenage Soul. I'm pretty sure that's where I read it originally.
I love it.
And it's
I
just
love
really
it.
stuck with me.
You know, because it's probably true, right?
Yeah.
I mean, really, it's. I was sitting at the table this morning, prepping for the day with my planner, doing all of the things that I do. And for those of you that know, I always put our Mindset Monday quote in my planner under my daily devotion or motivation or whatever that section is. And I was writing it, and I had to stop and just breathe for a minute because this is, we talk about a lot of quotes, but I think if you can only remember one, this might be the one. Why does everything feel so damn hard?
Yeah.
Because it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would love to hear more, Kayla. I know you sent me an email over the weekend or late last week requesting this particular quote. So I'm going to guess that you had a specific motivation. Do you want to share with us a little bit about what that might have been this week?
Actually, there was not a specific thing that brought this quote up. But for those who follow along, we haven't been doing our regular lives on Mondays because of the holidays. And then I was out of town last week. And so this one was actually like scheduled out for, I think, December 30th. So it was going to get skipped over. And I was like, no, this is one of my all-time favorites. So it needs to be on the docket. We could skip over a couple other ones, but this one's gotta be there. But yeah, I love this. And honestly, for me, it partners really well with you get to choose your hard. Like life is hard. So this is like a secondary quote that I learned maybe like 10 years later. And of course, this is an oversimplification of like, oh, the only reward is that it's easy, but you can apply it to so many things. And the thing is, even when you take that easy path, it still ends up being hard. And what I mean by that is it's easy in the upfront, in the immediate, but then where that path leads ends up with hardships and difficulties. And this might get a little confusing. So the most clear example that comes to mind for me is thinking about your health and your body and, taking proper care of it. And oftentimes one of the kind of pushback you hear from people is it's hard to eat healthy, or it's expensive to eat healthy, or I don't have time, all of these things. And so the easy route is the prepackaged, boxed, fast food. And while that is easy initially, it's still hard later because you end up paying for it with your health, both in time, energy, money, and the actual your health is affected. So it's hard. It's hard whether you front load that hard with discipline and doing the maybe uncomfortable things that you have to be more intentional with, or it's hard in the consequences of the easy route. So I really like to partner this one with you get to choose your heart, because it brings it a little bit more full circle and kind of helps you to play the tape forward. And honestly, it kind of eliminates, to my mind, it almost eliminates that easy reward, because it's, yeah, okay, yeah, today, but not really. Like,
Right, right. I think it comes back to perception, right? It So I don't know about you guys, but my brain will play all kinds of crazy tricks on me. And I have to be very careful because, like you said, this might seem easy right now, but is it really? Right? Is it really easier? And usually the answer to that is no. And it's so interesting because I was just talking to my son here recently about delayed gratification. And I don't know about you, Kayla, but I feel like the concept of delayed gratification has or is on vacation in a lot of our world today, right? Because everything's about instant gratification. And I think this is just another conversation around, it might be easy today, but that's that instant gratification. And if you're looking for bigger rewards, bigger payoffs, um, better outcomes in the long run, then delayed gratification is where it's at, right?
yeah.
And so when this comes up, my mind, I have to constantly remind myself that I'm not in this for the instant gratification. I am in it for the long haul. I'm playing the long game, and that means it might be a little tougher today than it will be 6 months from now, or 3 months, or 2 weeks, or whatever that delayed gratification might be. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, yeah, I just want to piggyback off that to say that while all of that is absolutely true, and that is the place we need to get to with our thinking, if you're listening to what Nicole just said and you're like, but that's so hard, I don't even know how to break that cycle. Number one, you're not alone. And all that means is you're a human with a functioning brain. The reason we get so sucked into things with instant gratification is we get these like dopamine hits in our brain, and
Yeah.
something that tickles our pleasure center makes us feel good on a very like neurochemical primal level, and it feeds that. I've talked before about the lizard brain. This is not where this is the like instinctual part of humans. For years, when we did something that brought us pleasure, the brain released chemicals to create pathways to teach us to remember the things that led up to that, so that we could do it again to survive. Here in this world of 2025, where we're surrounded by excess and no lack of things we could be doing, that survival mechanism in the brain is actually no longer benefiting our survival. But evolution takes time.
Right, right. And patience
and
and commitment and all
and
of the things. Yeah.
so yes, you are getting sucked into these instant gratification things, and it's not your fault per se. It's not a personality flaw. It
No.
takes this intentionality and this deliberate recognizing and pausing and choosing another action to stay in that higher level thinking.
I love this, Kayla. It's one of the reasons that I wrote down here, like what are some of the things that we can do to help ourselves, right? Intentionally shift into that mindset. And one of the things that I wrote down was get really intentional and clear on your goals and prioritize them, right? If you've been around for a minute, you've heard me say, I love to plan once, execute daily,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And that actually helps me stay focused, and not get sucked into the quote unquote easy, right? Stay focused on the longer term, because it allows me to set down those goals, set down those actions, and then consistently show up and do them, no matter how I feel, right? And I know you do the same, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So write that down. If you're listening and you're wondering how can you even start, that's a good way to start, is to just even every day, right? Every day I do this. Every day. What's my one important thing that has to get done no matter how bad the world is burning, right? I have this one thing every day that I need to get done. And that's a start. I think that's a start.
Yeah, and that's absolutely essential for your professional life. But I would really encourage you to start applying, not you, but the
Yeah.
listeners, because I know you do this, to start applying that same philosophy to your personal life.
Yes. 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 Across the board. Here's the thing, right, Kayla? This mindset stuff isn't just about work and business. Like,
Right.
it's about everything. Everything, right? It's about personal life. It's about my relationships with my family, with my colleagues, everything. My mindset touches every part of my life.
Mm-hmm.
So when I improve it in one area, I can extrapolate it and kind of pull it out into all the other areas too. Um, so what are some other things that we can do to try and stay focused? Like, pick out that one priority for the day or the one goal, or what are some other things that you do, Kayla, in your life to try and stay focused?
I don't know why you caught me at a loss for a reason.
I never catch you at a loss. That's crazy. So, so one of the things, I'll go ahead and share another thing that I
Okay,
do.
okay,
Um,
okay.
I do this. I have this. I have a whiteboard, and you can't see it because it's behind here, but I have a whiteboard where I every quarter write down the top 3 things that I want to see happen in these 90 days. Kind of the same type of thing, but again, it's one thing to talk about it and think about it and all of the things. There's a lot of things that I have to do that become tangible. In fact, I was at Walmart this weekend and I saw this huge um, calendar. It was a 12-month calendar and it was huge. Like, it was a decal you could put on your wall. I was this close to buying that sucker. And then I thought, oh, I have my whiteboard. I have my stuff. I don't think I need that. But I'm always looking for something
But here you are
tangible.
talking about it again.
I know, right? I might go get it. Something tangible, right? Because all of this stuff in my head is just in my head. I got to bring it into my physical world to make it real for me. So a planner, a whiteboard, a decal on the wall, a sign that somebody sends me that I can read regularly. Thank you very much, Kayla. So again, anything that I can do that will pull it into my physical world and make it real helps me stay focused on the longer term goals and not get caught up in the day-to-day junk.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of junk in the day-to-day, right?
And guys, a new approach. If you are like, okay, you're listening to us talking and something's come to mind that you've been wanting to address and you haven't figured out how. Of course, talk to your family, talk to your friends, get some help, some suggestions, get support. But if that's still not enough and you're still stuck in the trying to figure out how to break it down or what to do to implement the next steps, etc., of course, there's always coaches you can reach out to. But also, if you want to try the DIY route first, check out ChatGPT. I know we've talked about it before
Yes.
for business, but it's such a powerful tool for so many things, and breaking down complex tasks into easy actionable steps is one of those things that it's very helpful for. So that's another tool to pack in your toolbox for breaking things down into achievable steps, and you can just plan it out on your calendar. I
I
personally don't
love
do
it.
that because I'm a planner by nature, and I get some sort of high out of like taking a big project and breaking it down and then putting it into time blocks and moving it around. I don't
I
know what's
love
wrong with me,
it.
but
No, no, there is no, whoa, stop. There is nothing wrong with you, Kayla. Like I am with you. This is one of the, we are kindred spirits. Mark just said that he used lists and keeping track to keep track of his stuff. And I have to tell you, like list makers breed list makers. All I can say, my son, I have been a list maker my entire life. My whole life. My son is a list maker. It's okay. I think there might be a gene dedicated to list making. Yes, checklist, absolutely. So when you cross something off of a checklist, right, like color code, like write the list in blue so you can cross it off in black, or yeah, this is like there's kindred souls. That's all I'm going to say about
yes.
that. But if you're not that kind of person, I also want to say this. You can learn to be that way, or you can find something that works just as well, right?
Peace
Whatever
candy.
works for you. Yeah, I know, right? Right, exactly. I love it. So, really, I kind of want to get back to the quote. There are always two choices, two paths to take. One is easy, and its only reward is that it's easy. So this really kind of pulls us back into the decision making process, right? And so some of the stuff that we've been talking about is really good about keeping us out of the day to day and looking at the long term. The problem with that is when it's time to make a decision, that's a today thing, right? Usually we have, I'm not going to say it's an urgent decision, but it's more time focused. So what's the litmus test that we use to make the right decision when we're actually faced with these two paths? Like, do you have one, Kayla?
Well, I
Um,
think this is the reason why it's so important to have your goals actually written out and physically where you can see them, so that when something comes up, you can see, does it
mm,
fit into the decision buckets I've already made? And if it doesn't, then maybe it's just fluff. And sometimes
right.
these things can look they can be disguised as, oh,
Yes.
this might actually be helpful, but if it doesn't fit in those predetermined things, then it's just shiny object syndrome.
Right. Right. That is so true. That is so, so true. I love that. So let's give an example. Um, I have so I'm trying to think of something. I'm trying to think of something that I'm working on right now that fits into this bucket. Although because it's the first month of the first quarter, I'm pretty focused and I'm not struggling very much right now. Talk to me in February or March. That might be a little bit more distracting. However, if you've just come up with um, your goals and you're faced with a decision on, oh, this is a good one. Here. Let's use this one. Time. Every day. We can do this every day, right? Time. We have a finite amount of time each day, and constantly we're having to decide how we're going to spend that time, right? So every day, be thinking about, is this thing that's on my calendar going to put me closer to my long-term goal?
Mm-hmm.
That's the litmus test. And if the answer is no, get it off your calendar, right? Get it off the calendar, because there are other things that need to be accomplished to get closer to your goal. This is a great example of, it might feel and look easy right here, right now, but if it's not going to move me closer to my long-term goal, it needs to get off my calendar.
Right, because
And that's
remember,
hard.
every time you say yes to something, you are saying no to so many other things.
Yes.
And by the way, that
Yes.
applies to people too.
Oh yeah, for sure. Oh yes, absolutely. Absolutely. That's a whole nother conversation, but it absolutely does. Right? Anyway, there's a book about that too. Craziness. But anyway, um, yeah, so use that as your litmus test, right? And don't, so here's some practical stuff about this. Because saying no can feel hard, especially for those of us that come from a servant heart, right? Like we're a people. We get caught up in that. And so if something's on my calendar and it doesn't feed my long-term goal and now I need to say no, what if it's a meeting with a person? What does that look like? This is what it looks like. I'm going to give you some verbiage here. If you want to use it, feel free. Hey, so and so, I would love to catch up with you. I'm going to ask that we spend about 15 minutes. It looks like the purpose of our call no longer meets the objectives of my long-term goals, but I still want to be friends, right? And I still want to hang out or whatever the case may be. But just be upfront and let them know that this particular thing no longer meets your long-term goals. And if you've been around a while, you know that you've already cultivated a good relationship with this person and they're going to appreciate it, right? They're going to be like, "Oh, cool. Who knows? Maybe it doesn't really meet their long-term goals either and you've just been wasting time." Or it should be a social event and put on your social calendar and move to a different bucket, right? Yeah. So all of this is okay things to get realigned. And again, life is hard. Choose your hard, right? So,
yeah. And also, like, this culture, I don't know who came up with this concept of like running away from hard things, but it's almost like that is what's expected in our culture, is like, oh, it's hard, we're not going to do that. And it's like, no, it's hard, you should be doing that, lean into that. That's what we need in our culture. Like the older I get, the more true it just keeps becoming in my life. I was sharing this with my husband a couple months ago. We were walking around in a park near us, and I had the baby on my back, and my son's running around in the trees, and the dog, and I was just taking a moment to like breathe in the sunshine and the nature and just reflect. And I was like, man, like my life is so hard. And have so much gratitude for it. I was like, I have never been more appreciative and enjoying my life as I am right now, doing all of these things that on the outside to so many other people just look so hard. And people are like, oh, that sounds hard. You're trying to run a business and you have a baby and a 4-year-old and you homeschool, like, and that sounds really hard. It's like, yeah, it is. And that's the stuff that makes life worth living. Truly.
right.
Like, that's what I have come to find, is like, then every time I add on something, it's hard, but then you acclimate, and like it,
Yes.
then you reap the rewards. I assume it's like going to the gym. I haven't really, like, that's on my list.
Yeah, well, because I'm sure there's somebody in our community that can confirm that, Kayla, but it is not me. So,
but like when you start lifting weights, it's hard at first.
yes.
And then you keep doing it. The thing that was hard, you get acclimated, and then you keep lifting, and then you like enjoy it. I don't know.
I think,
come back
Kayla,
to me at the end of
what
the
you
year, and
just
I'm hoping I
described,
can relate to that a little more.
right? I think, Kayla, what you just described is what we call evolution. I think that, like, literally as human beings, we up level ourselves, right? And the payoff for that is so profound. To speak to it, I work harder today than I've worked in my entire career. And that is no joke. I really do. I work harder now than I ever have. And I love my life more than I ever have.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
see, you need to find friends who encourage you to run towards the hard thing.
That's right. That's right.
That's what we need
That's right.
more of today.
Yes, because there's always helpers. That's a whole nother conversation. There's always helpers, right? Look for the helpers. Anyway, I love this.
But it's
I
like,
think that
I think where this started for me really is, I don't know if I've shared it on this before, but I started working in healthcare when I was 19. I was a physician scribe in a very busy ER. And on my, I think, second shift in training, it was just before Christmas, we had a trauma come in, and it was bizarre because the woman came in from the ambulance and she had a hospital bracelet on already. And we were like, how'd she, registration was very confused. She was on her way home from the hospital and she had just had abdominal surgery. So she didn't have her seatbelt on. And somebody T-boned them at a 4-way. And because she didn't have her seatbelt on, she crumpled under the dashboard, and they had to cut her out. And ultimately, she didn't make it. And like I said, she's on her way home from the hospital before Christmas, and then died on the way home. And I just remember, like, it was very profound to me. That was my first experience being around death, other than like I had an uncle who had passed and we went to a funeral, but that wasn't, I wasn't close with him, but that was my first time like being around active traumatic death like that. Wow. And I remember going home and just like looking around my apartment and, my dog and how warm my apartment was and the food I had in my kitchen. And I was like, I have no problems. Right. I have no problems. And if I wake up tomorrow, like, that is a gift. And I ended up going to nursing school, and I've worked up until October as an ER and ICU nurse through all kinds of things, COVID included. My husband is also a nurse, and I have seen around a lot of things and been around a lot of stuff. And I have put more people in body bags than I care to think about. And that was hard. And you know what? It has served as a very, very stark reminder that like our time is so limited. It's so limited. Yeah. My father-in-law passed this summer unexpectedly, and it's become very front of mind for me. And every day, I strive to make sure that my day is not just filled, but fulfilled. Ooh, and nice. Yeah. My time, it's not just accounted for. I'm not just busy for the sake of being busy, but I am moving the goal line every single freaking day. And in my professional life, and also up-leveling in my personal life. I've been doing so many things to make sure my kids aren't feeling the like stress and chaoticness of my life. Christmas, right. I like sought out 3 or 4 different things to take us to, not overwhelming our schedules, but just so that my 4.5-year-old, who's like very aware of what's going on in his world now, like had that Christmas spirit. And it was so successful. And I could have all of the reasons, I'm too busy. It's too hard to do these things. And actually I had a couple of friends who were supposed to do stuff with us and canceled because it was just too busy. And I'm so glad that I showed up for myself and that commitment and for my family, because I want to make sure, if something happens to me or my husband, we can look back and say, like, we gave everything to our kids in the time that we had with them. And it's hard. It's so hard. It is hard. God damn, is it worth it? Right? It is. Again, the delayed gratification. Oh my gosh, it has been 30 minutes. We're going to jump out of here. So one of the things that I want to see as a result of this is share a tough decision that you're trying to make this week, and talk to us in the comments about how you plan to tackle it. And we'll be here to help support you through that and make sure that it is in alignment with your goals and your long-term goals and serves you well, right? Because every minute counts. It's very important to be very intentional in how we use our time. So
that's a wrap for this week's Mindset Monday. We are super grateful for you and this community of independent patient advocates. We hope that the quote today on intentionality empowers you in your work and your personal life this week. Be sure to share how you're applying it in your advocacy practice, and we'll see you next Monday for more inspiration as we talk about authenticity and well being. Have a great week, guys.